Oh, where is it? How did I lose it already? So that was so the music is Tom Grossi's music person.
Okay.
Daniel Clintworth, who does coach for Tom. That's his music. So, hello. Hi, you are watching the Mac and Cheese podcast. I'm your host, Mary. And do you go by Ryno? How do you?
Yeah, that's what everybody in the podcast world knows me as. So
okay. I didn't know. So yeah. I didn't. Okay. Will be the guest tonight. If you want to follow him, his Twitter name is in the bio, and his YouTube account. I saw that today. You guys are over 2,000 subscribers.
Yeah, somewhere. we're I think we're over 2,100 now on YouTube, and then we've got almost 11,000 on Facebook. So
okay.
So we've got a big Facebook following. So that's
okay. So you do YouTube and Facebook then for your show?
Yeah, when we do our live shows, we live streamed both at the same time. So
do you guys do your podcast live, or is it pre-recorded?
We used to do pre-recorded shows when we first started out, but then we started doing a few live shows here and there, and it got. I mean, we started having a lot of interaction with the people watching, and they're coming with a lot of great comments and discussions and things like that. So we've kind of made the executive decision to do everything live now. So our times fluctuate a little bit sometimes because my co-host has a varying work schedule, so we have to work around that a little bit. But yeah, we do everything live now pretty much. So
that's amazing. We will be discussing the Minnesota Vikings and other trades this week because I know the trade deadline was this week. Speaking of which, did you guys get Cam Akers back or something? What happened?
Yeah, we got Cam Akers back. It was early last week. Basically, we made the exact same trade with Houston to get him back that we made with the Rams to get him the year before.
Oh, okay.
So it was basically a what amounts to a 6th round pick or a 7th round pick, I think it was, in 2026. So basically gave up nothing for an RB2.
So many teams made good trades this season. It like DeAndre Hopkins from the
and ends up in Kansas City again. Yeah, I mean that's just what they need is more weapons. But
so, in your opinion, what do you think the Vikings did the right move necessarily?
I mean,
it's been undefeated for quite a bit. I know.
Yeah, I mean, starting off, things were, I guess, if you looked at the national media, nobody really picked the Vikings to do much this year, just because of the simple fact, we let Kirk Cousins go, brought in Sam Darnold, who has not really had success anywhere else in the league. Of course, he played for the Jets and the Carolina Panthers, and it's very tough for anybody to have success playing for either one of those organizations. This was always, I guess, in the discussion, and it was always going to be more of a transition year with Darnold taking over the reins until J.J. McCarthy was ready.
Right.
And then, of course, J.J. McCarthy in his first game in the preseason was playing really well, gave Vikings fans, that yes, this is why we got this kid, and he's gonna be something. And then all of a sudden, you come out the next day and find out that he tore his meniscus in his knee and required surgery to be out for the year. So, but I mean, I always thought, when they brought Sam Darnold in, that if he was going to succeed anywhere, it was going to be in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell. I mean, we saw him unlocking a level to Kirk Cousins that wasn't there before. And he's done it so far with Darnold. I mean, Darnold has been, up among the leaders in quarterback play in the NFL, touchdowns. And, he's still got that old Sam Darnold that'll rear its ugly head once in a while and throw some head scratching interception or a pass that he should never be throwing.
Yeah.
But then he'll turn around like last week. You know, his first half was not very good. He had 2 interceptions and then turned around the second half and threw for almost 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. So,
See, I can't say anything because Jordan Love has been throwing a lot of interceptions.
He's been injured a lot though, too. It's
been the MCL from the Eagles in week 1, and then it was just like,
well, and when they brought him back against us, I thought they should have sat him another week because especially that first half, he wasn't coming off his throws right. He was not putting any pressure on that front leg on his front leg when he was throwing.
Yeah. Agreed.
Second half, I don't know if he loosened up a little bit or what happened, and he was a lot better that second half. But
yeah, I agreed. I think we shouldn't have started him last week against the Lions. Personally, I think it's the same situation because he hurt his groin during the Jaguars game.
Yep,
sprained it, and then I don't think he should have played because we're in our bye week actually this week. So he should have let Blake Willis take. In my opinion.
I mean I see what the Packers were doing because, it being a division game, same thought process is why they started him against Minnesota. But, it didn't help, on that one play when he went down against the Lions too, where the defender kind of did the WWE leg wrap on his ankle when he was down.
So speaking, okay, you just brought up an interesting conversation. Brian Branch. What is your thoughts about that play?
My personal opinion on the Lions is they are starting to get a bit of a reputation around the league for being borderline on the dirty side. I mean, we lost TJ Hawkinson last year. Kirby Joseph took out his knee, and then 2 weeks later, Kirby Joseph did the same thing to Tyler Higbee with the Rams. So, it was to me, it's, once is a coincidence, more than once it's at least a conscious effort to try to, and to me, and I'm biased because of 2009, but Dan Campbell played for the New Orleans Saints in 2009 during Bounty Gate against us, and then was on Sean Payton's staff for 3 years or whatever it was as an assistant coach. So he learned from a guy who had a questionable past about pushing the envelope, I guess, as far as between aggressive and dirty. So there's a little bit of that in Detroit, and it's something that's a little bit concerning, I guess, on my side of things. But yeah, that hit from Brian Branch, I don't disagree with the ejection at all on that one.
Okay, and then do you think he will get a penalty after that? Because
he's gonna get a fine. I haven't heard this week that if there was anything that was levied yet or not. But
I have not heard either yet. Interesting.
My guess is he's definitely going to get something there because if the league goes out and preaches about player safety all the time,
right?
And if you're not going to do something about the hit to the head, then it's lip service, and it becomes, the whole message becomes hypocritical because you're and there's such an inconsistency on how things are done. I mean, we all see that. You hear all the rumors about the NFL being rigged because you can sneeze on Patrick Mahomes and they throw a 15-yard penalty. Yet the last 2 weeks for Minnesota, Sam Darnold's almost got his helmet ripped off twice, and the officials looking right at it and they don't call a penalty on it.
Yeah, these referees this year are so bad, I think, too. Like, I don't know if you saw, but Matt LaFleur was just trying to call a timeout, and they were looking at Matt LaFleur too, and they didn't even throw it. Like, they threw a flag on Matt LaFleur when he was trying to throw a timeout. Like, they were looking.
Yeah, that was against us. Yeah.
Yep, and they didn't even call what?
Yeah, officiating across the league is terrible, and the NFL needs to do something about it. I don't know what the answer is. I think some of it would be having at least the crew chief for the officiating crew make them go out and do a post-game press conference, just like the head coaches and stuff do. Make them answer to the media, because the media will grill them on plays like that, plays like the two non-calls that went, against Sam Darnold here the last 2 weeks, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And maybe that, making them be accountable for some of this stuff would help. It's not going to be the cure-all, but I think it would be a start.
Also, do you think the player that wrapped his arms around Jordan Love would get a fine too? Or no?
We talking
that was not Brian Branch.
We talking the ankle twist thing?
Yeah, with the Lions.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it was dirty in my opinion, but I don't know that he's going to get a fine for it. He might. Okay. If he does, I wouldn't argue that he shouldn't. But I think that one's. I mean, it's kind of a gray area there where I think the league might tread a little more lightly on that one. But
but I think for sure Brian Branch would, because of that hit to Bo Melton, the wide receiver.
You would think that he would. I mean, he got kicked out of the game. Usually, if you're going to get kicked out of players get fined all the time and don't get kicked out of the game. I would assume there would be some kind of a fine coming, but like I said, I haven't heard anything as of yet. But
we should know. Shouldn't we know this week about that, or by tomorrow at least?
I would think,
because if the Lions play tomorrow, which they do, we would find out.
Yeah, I mean, there won't be a suspension of any sort. So I mean, it's that monetary fine can come at any point in time. It's not like it has any bearing on the games, but.
Oh, okay. Because I thought it had to be that week.
No, it may come out, tomorrow or Saturday potentially, or if anything is coming, or it could come next week even, I think. But
okay, I thought it had to be like this week. Okay.
No, I don't think so anyway. But
so you guys got Aaron Jones.
Yeah, and thank you for that, by the way.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, we got Josh Jacobs, so it's okay.
Josh Jacobs, I mean, he's done a good job for you guys, but we couldn't be happier with Aaron Jones. I mean, he's what this offense needed as far as running game. Mm-hmm. He's been great running the ball. He's been great catching out of the back. I mean, no surprise to you guys. You had him for what it was there, 7 years or whatever he was in Green Bay. But on top of that, just the quality of a human being that the man is. I mean, there was a story this past week, right before the Colts game on Sunday. They had talked to him. Of course, we had the tragic incident in the off season prior to camp where our rookie cornerback Kyrie Jackson got killed in a car accident, and Aaron Jones goes and puts flowers in his because they kept his locker set up for this year as a tribute to him. Aaron Jones goes in there and puts flowers every week in his locker. And he said he saw Kyrie's parents were at the game on Sunday night, and he said he went over and he talked to him and a lot of this other stuff. So I mean, he's just a great all around guy. Great. I mean, off the football field as well as a great player on the field. So yeah, we couldn't be happier to have him. And thank you again.
I mean, it was good against fault, necessary ultimately. Aaron Jones did kind of the same thing with the Packers. Mm-hmm. He's very, very grateful. Is he your guys' Peyton Manning of the year or salute to service?
I have not heard yet, I guess, who they picked for that. Wouldn't surprise me one bit if he is.
No, because I think he was Packers like basically every year.
Yeah.
And then he didn't get it somehow. But person is Lucas Van Ness this year. Van Ness. That's this year's.
Yeah, I think last year our nominee, I believe it was Harrison Phillips, our defensive tackle, because he does a lot of great stuff with different charities, and he's got his foundation and stuff that helps developmentally disabled kids and stuff like that. So he does another great individual. And that's one thing with the Vikings, with this, the coaching staff and the front office that we have now. They brought in that culture that we not only have good players coming in here, but they're good people too. They're, you see it all the time. You got some of these top athletes across not only NFL, but NBA or baseball or whatever, that are great players, but first rate jerks off the field, and to that culture in the locker room that Kevin O'Connell's created over here. I mean, it's great players and it's great people. So that's been.
Are the Vikings going with like a younger age group like the Packers are, or no?
At this year, I mean, we're a little bit on the older side because we've had to kind of fill holes especially on the defense with some, older free agents like, Stephon Gilmore, who's 35, I believe. Harrison Smith is still on the team. He's 35.
Okay.
Our cornerback room is one of the older ones in the league. I mean, you got Shaq Griffin, who's, right around 30. You've got, some of these guys that have been around the league for a while that we've kind of patchworked some of the holes up with. Now, most of that was due to the fact that we've been in salary cap hell for the last several years.
Right.
But now to our GM Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah's credit, he's finally getting us out of that cap issue. So now next year we have a ton of cap space coming up that hopefully we can get some younger guys in here on, some contracts that are more than just a 1-year deal and kind of make that youth movement and push it more towards the, opening the window for competing for a championship. So.
Okay. So, hey, at least both of our teams aren't the Saints. Could be worse. No, I agree with that. Like, I'm glad Gutekunst got Xavier McKinney when he did, because I don't know how much longer he would have been a free agent.
Yeah, McKinney's a good player. And
He's good.
You guys got lucky with that one, I think, because he's had a hell of a season.
8 interceptions so far, I think.
Yeah, it's a lot. I know that.
It's almost like the most for the in league history. I think in league history it's 10. He's close to it.
Yeah.
He's also about to break the record with the Giants too, because I think that was like 7 or something. It's crazy.
Yeah, he always seems to be around the ball. I mean, he's got a good nose for it.
Oh, it's 6 picks.
6 picks, yeah.
I usually have my commenters do work for me.
Hey, that's the one nice thing about doing live shows. Usually, if you don't know the answer, somebody in the watching the show and in the comments probably does, or they'll let you know.
Thank you guys for comments. We appreciate it. No, but it's like the Packers usually do bad in San Francisco. It's a thing. I don't know why, but Christian McCaffrey coming back. What? Mind blown.
It's like you said with San Francisco. It's sometimes there are just teams that, so the other team has their number. I mean, and it's no matter how good your team is or how, and a lot of it can even be difference about playing at their place versus playing at your place. I mean, for the Vikings, San Francisco has not beat Minnesota in Minnesota since like 1980.
Oh, wow. Okay.
89 or something like that, 87. So it's been like 33 years that they haven't won in Minnesota, but then we go to San Francisco and more often than not, we end up losing when we go there. So
see, I feel like it's the same for both though. Like we always tend to lose when we're there, besides in postseason, we always lose there. But regular season, we always win against them. It's weird.
Yeah. Football is a funny game, and that you see some of that stuff that where there are games when you have a completely undermatched team going against one of the elite teams in the league, and then all of a sudden at the end of the game the underdog has come out with a win and shocked the world kind of thing. It's that's why they play the games instead of just giving the wins and losses out ahead of time. But
right, it's like I agree. It's fun to see the game though. It's like
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
so much enjoyable. Do you think the NFC North is the best league in this year's football season?
From top to bottom, I don't see it. I mean, I'll hear other arguments, but I just looking at the across the league. I mean, most other divisions, you've got one, maybe two good teams in there, but NFC North, you've got 4 decent to good teams. I mean, Chicago's having their struggles a little bit, but you know, they've got a ton of talent on that team. They just haven't been able to put it all together, you know, and the same thing goes to Green Bay, Minnesota. I mean, and right now Detroit, as much as it pains me to say it, is a class of the NFC right now.
Detroit is tough.
Yeah, it's,
3 good teams. Oh no. They're saying 3 good teams. The Bears are not good, apparently, to my comments.
Well, I was trying to be kind, but yeah. I mean, I'm not sold at all on Caleb Williams. I watched him in college and stuff that, you know, and it's the whole against lesser competition, he plays well, but when it gets into, you know, when he gets into a spot where he's not the best player on the field and you go against, you know, a top flight team, he tends to struggle and he doesn't handle adversity all that well from what I've seen over the last couple of years. But
so you're saying it's a good reason why the Packers are about to play the Bears coming up. Got it.
Yeah. Well, we get him in a couple of weeks too, which will be interesting to see how he reacts against Brian Flores' defense.
Right. It's going to be interesting how he handles Halfley's defense too.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have a legit defense too. I mean, it'll be interesting, and I think he's going to struggle against both of them, honestly. So
okay. Robert Zola being removed from the Jets. What are your thoughts? Do you think he should have been removed? Is that Sala's?
I mean, Saleh is one of those guys, kind of like Mike Zimmer was here. You're a very good defensive coordinator, but I don't know that he was really cut out to be a head coach.
Okay.
Now, that being said, you know, it's the New York Jets. They've been a dysfunctional organization since the 70s. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, they sold their soul to the devil when they brought in Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you know, part of the reason he always complained about leaving Green Bay was they wouldn't get him the weapons that he wanted and all this other stuff. But yet then when he goes to the Jets, he brings in every ex-Packer that ever played with him to come and play with him in New York. So it's, I mean, Rodgers is a shell of his former self, in my opinion. I mean, he's not the quarterback he was even 3 or 4 years ago.
No.
But he's, you know, you guys know as well as anybody, he's Aaron Rodgers. He loves the spotlight, and he's going to stay in that spotlight as long as he can, whether he's playing up to Aaron Rodgers standards or not. So
do you think Saleh will get a defensive coordinator position next year?
I think he will. I mean, I think he's going to have plenty of options because, like I said, he's a very good defensive coordinator. When he was in San Francisco, I mean, that defense was good.
Right.
And the Jets defense is good, but he just, you know, he's just struggled as being a head coach. And, you know, some guys are just meant to be coordinators, and there's nothing wrong with that. We've seen it time and again. You know, some of these coaches that get multiple opportunities as a head coach and can't make it work, but yet then they go back to just being a coordinator, and then, you know, they're doing well to the point where somebody gives them another chance at being a head coach again, even though they're probably, you know, we look at the same thing with in Minnesota with Brian Flores. You know, is he head coaching material? I don't know. He's a hell of a defensive coordinator, and I hope he's not head coaching material, because that would mean we could keep him as defensive coordinator longer. But
same issue applies to Matt Eberflus on the Bears.
Yeah. He's a good defensive guy, but he is god awful as a head coach. That being said, I hope Chicago signs him to a 10-year contract extension. But
I would say the same thing is with Halfley too, from Boston College. He was horrible, but then I don't know if it's because college is different though. Because there's a reason why a lot of the college guys, especially if they come out of college and go right to trying to be a NFL head coach, why so many of them don't succeed, because it is so much different, you know, especially before the whole NIL thing and stuff in college, where you didn't have to. Now it's a little bit more like the NFL now, because it's kind of like dealing with free agents and that kind of stuff. But, you know, you saw it with some of the top college coaches. You know, Urban Meyer came in and went to Jacksonville and didn't even last a season. You know, and a lot of these other guys that come up, and I mean, even the great ones like Nick Saban, you know, when he was coaching, you know, with the Dolphins, he didn't do all that well, and he went back to college, and then
became an ultimate legend at Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them are cut out for college. Some of them are cut out for the pros. I mean, it's just kind of a.
Does it have to say a point because Hafley actually played or coached in the NFL and then he moved back to college and then he's back in the NFL? So he started with the 49ers with Sala.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think at least he's had some experience in the NFL before, so he wasn't coming in completely, without knowing what to expect. So
right. Do you think Sala is a good? Because right now I don't know if you know, but Sala is currently with the Packers. He's an offensive consultant.
Yeah.
Is that a good move? I know you said he would be a better defensive coordinator, but is that
having him in as a consultant, he's got, whether he was any good at being a head coach or not, he's still got the experiences, and as long as he can take those situations that weren't successful and be able to learn from it and apply it elsewhere, it never hurts to have a guy like that on your staff. Just if nothing else, just as a sounding board for LaFleur to go and, hey,
right.
I'm working on trying to figure this out. What do you think, kind of a thing? And I mean, we do the same thing.
Right.
We've got Mike Pettin on the staff over here, and he's,
oh dear Lord. Okay.
He's coaching. I think he's coaching linebackers or some part of the, he's a position coach. He's not a coordinator, but then, Kevin O'Connell's mentioned multiple times that Pettin has been a, valuable sounding board for him just because he's had the experience, being a head coach and some of that, what to do, what not to do, and things like that. So.
Okay. So you brought up Aaron Jones. So Sean Mannion is a quarterback's coach with the Packers now too.
Yeah. As a quarterback's coach.
Yep.
Yeah. Great. There is no way I would ever want that man being quarterback. I mean, we had him for how many years as a backup quarterback, and to put it all into perspective, he has one more career touchdown pass than I do.
Oh. So
as a player, no, okay. But that was one of the things they always talked about, though, when he was here as backup quarterback. It just how smart he was in the quarterback room.
Okay.
And Kirk Cousins loved having him there again as a sounding board, as a, guy that he, could work with and stuff. And I said it many times when he was as a quarterback here that I think he'd be a great coach, but he's just a really poor player.
Maybe that's who I heard it from, because I heard it from one of you guys, like a Vikings fan. So maybe it was you. I don't know.
Possible.
Kirk Cousins, were you surprised that he got traded?
Well, he wasn't traded. We just didn't re-sign him.
Yeah.
And no, I wasn't. I mean, he'd been here for 6 years, and when we brought him in, he was brought in as that missing piece, that franchise quarterback that was finally going to get us to the Super Bowl. We paid him a ton of money, and we got 2 playoff wins in 6 years. I mean, it was 2 playoff appearances, 1 playoff win.
Right.
And, it was time. He, coming off of an Achilles injury and was going to require a big contract. And, when I talked earlier about the Vikings, being in that salary cap purgatory type era, a lot of that was because we were paying Kirk Cousins big money and all guaranteed money. So you couldn't move it around to help alleviate some of the cap constraints. And I mean, we've seen it across the league, the way to go about doing this and be competitive, at least for that, and giving yourself a 4 to 5 year window, is finding that right rookie quarterback on that rookie scale contract and being able to build up the team around them.
Right.
I know Kevin O'Connell made the comment when we brought in JJ McCarthy here this year about, because everybody's asking, well, when is he going to play? When's he going to play? And, O'Connell said he's going to play when we believe he's ready to play. We're not going to be forced to play him. And then he made the comment about, and I thought this is a very, very pointed comment that makes a lot of sense. And I believe this for a lot of years, that teams will fail a young quarterback way before a young quarterback will fail the team, just because, they put him out there to be the savior, and they don't have the infrastructure on him. They don't have the offensive line. They don't have weapons. They don't have a defense. And the kid is expected to come in fresh out of college and, carry the team.
Right.
And, we're seeing it in Chicago right now. Chicago's offensive line is putrid. And Caleb Williams, is having problems. He's got their sparks there of what could be. We saw it the same thing with Justin Fields before him. All the hype and stuff, and it never panned out.
Is that the same issue with the Titans? Will Levis too, because he had
Will Levis just isn't a good quarterback.
Oh, okay.
There was a bunch of Vikings fans 2 years ago, when Levis came out, when he started free falling down the draft board, that they were just go get him, because there was some of that pre-draft talk, that he could have gone top 5 in a pick. And then, when never did believe the smoke really on that. And then when it came down to the draft, he fell to whatever it was, late second round or whatever it ended up being.
I don't know.
And I mean, just in my own scouting analysis, because I, was looking at quarterbacks at that time because we weren't sure that Kirk Cousins was going to be back last year.
Right.
And I wouldn't have wanted Levis on the Vikings anyway. There's just, some of the collegiate stuff, you have to look at where they play, the competition they play against, and the players they have around them. And with Levis, the numbers didn't match up to somebody that was going to be a franchise caliber quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion. Anyway. I mean, I'm no expert when it comes to scouting, but I watch a lot of football, and I spend a lot, especially when there's a position group like that where, it's something that's going to be of potential interest for the Vikings. I try to put in enough film study and things like that to be able to make at least informed opinions on it. So,
So in your opinion, why did the Titans move on from Malik Willis then, if he was so good?
Malik Willis wasn't good in Tennessee either. I mean, that, it's, and some of it there, I think is a system.
Okay.
And, it comes back to, Malik Willis is a good example. Sam Darnold, we talked about this earlier, that, when he got drafted by the Jets, burned, flamed out in New York, went to Carolina, flamed out there. Then, he took a backup quarterback role with San Francisco and just sat for a year. And I think that helped him out. He's mentioned that how much, just sitting there and learning from Kyle Shanahan last year helped him out. And then getting him into the system, the Sean McVay West Coast style offense that Minnesota runs with Kevin O'Connell, getting him into that situation. And it also helps that, we've got Josh McCown, who played with him when he was in New York as our quarterbacks coach now. So that there was already that, the bond between those guys. So, it's getting the quarterbacks in the right situation and in the right system makes all the difference in the world between, and some guys just don't have it. And some guys, it doesn't matter what system you put them in, they're still going to be good players. But for a lot of these kids, it's all about being able to build them up properly. It's about getting them in the right system. It's about getting them the tools around them, the protection, the offensive weapons and things like that to succeed. And if you put them in that right situation, even, somebody who's an average quarterback can be successful if he's got the right stuff around him.
Okay. People are in the comments are saying they laughed when the Falcons drafted a quarterback even after getting Cousins in free agency.
That was a shocker to me. I think it was a shocker to Kirk Cousins as well. I don't think he took it all that well.
No.
But
I mean, look what Love and Jordan and Rodgers and Jordan Love. Like, it's the same situation. It's the same exact thing.
I mean, at least with Rodgers and Love, Rodgers had been here for a while. I mean, Kirk Cousins didn't even have all of his boxes unpacked yet, and all of a sudden they're drafting his replacement behind him already.
Right. Yeah. So another comment is it helps that Sean Mannion? Is it Mannion or Mannon?
Mannion.
Okay. Mannion is learning about how to coach quarterbacks while Tom Coughlin is still in Green Bay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And that's, it's not just players, having those mentors and having that stuff. It's, other coaches as well. We talked about it a little while ago, with Sala coming in to help LaFleur, or Mike Pettin being there to help Kevin O'Connell.
Right.
They do that all the time. You get it, especially when it's a young coach at his first gig or something like that. Having somebody to, help show them the ropes and help mentor them along the way too, while they're trying to teach the player. It's invaluable.
So you guys play the Jaguars, right? Next, am I right?
Yep.
Trevor Lawrence is not playing.
Doesn't sound like it, no. So we get Mac Jones.
Oh dear Lord. The Jaguars were heating up too, which sucks. But
what was that?
Jaguars were heating up.
They've been one of those teams where they play well during the games a lot, it seems like, for the most part, but then they find a way to lose it at the end. I mean, they really should have beat Green Bay a couple of weeks ago. But, they haven't had the success there that they expected they were going to have when they brought Doug Peterson in as their head coach, figuring he was going to be able to unlock the can't miss prospect that Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be when he came out of college, but they just haven't really done that. And I mean, right now, I think Doug Peterson his seat is very warm down there. I don't, he may not make it through the season if they keep losing out.
Okay.
But,
so like what the Saints just did.
Yeah. What Dennis Allen just got left, Robert Saleh got let go with the Jets. There's a handful of coaches, at least a couple of them that, are on very thin ice about making it through the season. Okay. I'm not convinced Matt Eberflus makes it through the end of the year.
Oh, okay.
But on the Jacksonville front, I think is down like 4 or 5 starters this week.
Yeah, it's bad.
So this is a game that Minnesota should go in there and just absolutely take care of business and, lead wire to wire and win comfortably.
Right.
That being said, Minnesota in the past has had a really bad habit of playing down to lesser talent. So, there's always that. But the Viking fan PTSD, it always sits there in the back of your head. But now, to Kevin O'Connell's credit, since he's took over the team, that hasn't been as much of an issue. I mean, they can respond to adversity, and they seem to be able to come back from it a lot better than in years past. But James's comment there with the Jags. The Jaguars have always been a weird team. It seems like that they'll be that middle of the road to very bad team for 4 or 5 years, and all of a sudden they'll pop up and be they were like 2 plays away from knocking off the New England Patriots and going to the Super Bowl a couple years back, and then after that they just went off the side of the cliff again. I don't know if it's ownership or what it is down there that they just haven't been able to put a consistent winner together.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I have a couple more questions. I know there's football going on right now. So people want to know, who are your top 5 wide receivers in the whole entire league history?
In league history?
Or in the league.
Or the league currently?
No, in the league. It's kind of confusing.
So
I would just say history.
Guys that are playing right now?
Like, because people have mentioned Larry Fitzgerald, Jared.
Oh, okay. So historically.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got, in my opinion, Jerry Rice is number 1.
Okay.
I would go Randy Moss at number 2. And the thing with Randy Moss, right. He was a Viking. He was the Viking for the late 90s and into the early 2000s. But for as great as Moss was, he's a freakishly talented athlete. The drive and the attitude kind of, if he could have gotten over that, I think he could have been that much better. Like I said, arguably top 2-3 wide receivers in history as that is. And he could have been even better than that. Okay. Some other guys that I would throw up there, Fitzgerald is up in that top 5. I mean, he played forever and he was very good. Trying to think of who else that I would throw up in there. There's a lot. There's that muddled mess right there. That there's a lot of them. Chris Carter, a personal favorite of mine. That he's up in that top 5. You start looking back a little ways. You got Steve Largent, who used to play for the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay. You've
got, what's his name that played for the 49ers? His name is escaping me right now. But I mean, there's been so many great wide receivers over the years. You start looking back, back in the days when wide receivers weren't making the numbers that they're making now, but you still look back with Washington, you had Art Monk, you had guys like Duper and Clayton down in Miami, you had Des Bryant in Dallas, you had, I mean, the list goes on of great wide receivers, but I mean, I guess, it's my top 2 are pretty well set in stone. After that, I can be persuaded one way or the other, on who should be where, but.
Justin mentioned Don Hudson.
Yeah, another great one and deserving of. You look at other ones too of Megatron, Calvin Johnson when he played in Detroit. On a lot of bad Detroit teams. Right. If he would have been on a different team, he would have been, that much better. Justin Jefferson right now. I mean,
okay, yeah.
He just went into a tie for 4th place for career receiving yards for Minnesota this past weekend, and he's played 60 games.
Wow.
He tied Adam. He just tied Adam Thielen. So the only ones above him right now are Chris Carter, Randy Moss, and Anthony Carter.
Oh wow. Okay.
So and by the end of the year, he has a chance to be 3rd. He's like 700 yards behind Anthony Carter, I believe. But
that's crazy. How many of these wide receivers are breaking records like that?
I mean, and the guys you look at now, you've got Jefferson, you got Tyreek Hill, you've got Jamar Chase, you've got a lot of these guys. I really like Nico Collins down in Houston when he's healthy. He's been hurt the last couple of weeks, but Kansas City seems like they can go to Dollar General and pick up a wide receiver and make him 1,000-yard receiver.
Where does Terrell Owens fall on your list?
Terrell Owens is up. He would be in that top 5 too. Now, I was never a Terrell Owens fan. He was the one that was the name that was escaping me for whatever reason. I mind blocked it, but I mean, from a talent standpoint, yeah, he would be in my top 5. I personally didn't care for him, but I'd put him up there. Yeah.
Sterling Sharp is another one that has been noticed on this show. Sterling Sharp. Yes, no.
I don't know that I would put Sterling Sharp in my top 10. He's a very good wide receiver. But if he's in my top 10, he's probably towards the back end of the.
Okay. In your opinion, is Sterling Sharp Hall of Fame enough? Should he be in Hall of Fame? That's like a Packers question.
I don't know that he does. I mean, Packers Ring of Honor and stuff like that. Sure.
Right. I think he is, but I don't know.
Yeah, but I think he's borderline as far as.
Okay.
If he were to make it in, I wouldn't be upset about it. But there's a lot of guys that are sitting out there, I think, that have been waiting a long time to get into the Hall that haven't got in there yet, that I would put in before I would put him in.
Right. I mean, look at Leroy Butler. He finally went in like 2 seasons ago or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, looking, the Vikings have got 2 guys that are still sitting there, from the senior committee that have year after year gotten passed over. Jim Marshall, one of the Purple People, the only Purple People Eater to not be in the Hall of Fame right now, is still waiting to get in.
That's crazy.
And Chuck Foreman, our legendary running back we had back in the 70s, he still isn't in now. Both of them made the first cut in the senior selection for this upcoming year. So there's a little bit of a push. Hopefully we can get both of them in.
Okay.
But
that should be fun. So this is another question. So we kind of reworded this one for you.
Okay.
What is your favorite Vikings moment of all time this season, not NFC North related? So you can't say like the loss against or the win against the Packers or anything like that, or the loss against the Lions or anything like that.
So my favorite
favorite
Vikings moment from this year, not
yes,
against the
not
North.
NFC North. Correct. So you can't say like the win against the Packers, stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, you look back, right off the get-go at the beginning of the year, Sam Darnold had that 97-yard touchdown pass to Justin Jefferson. That was kind of the welcome to the Minnesota Vikings moment for Sam Darnold. I mean, that's probably been the biggest play out of the year so far. I mean, going out and being able to start 4-0 when most people didn't expect us to, have more than 6 wins all season.
Right.
Going out and thoroughly dominating everybody we played the first 3.5 weeks, San Francisco never being in doubt there, going out and absolutely curb stomping, the Houston Texans, who were a preseason Super Bowl favorite and are still, they've been battling some injuries, but are still, considered in that discussion. There's been a lot of good, some of the defensive play that we've seen, and Andrew Van Ginkel, the edge rusher we got from Miami, he went to college in Wisconsin, so I'm sure you guys are familiar with him. But he's quickly becoming one of my favorite players on the team. Just the way I love the way he plays, and he's around the ball all the time, and he's another one of those legitimately good dudes. That you see this when you sign a free agent away from another team, and you see the fan base on social media and stuff. Just all upset that.
Yeah,
they lost that guy, and I talked to a couple of Dolphins fans and said, you guys got a good one here. We're going to miss him here. Coming up there, we had the same thing when we signed Harrison Phillips as a free agent out of Buffalo. The Buffalo fans were very upset that they lost him.
Yeah.
Like Aaron Jones coming to Minnesota again this year. A lot of the Packer fans were. Part of it, I'm sure, is the fact that he went to Minnesota. If he'd have went someplace else, maybe it wouldn't have been as bad. But
yeah, that's where I was like, I didn't care where he went to. Like, I knew we weren't going to sign him back because when we signed Jacobs, that was pretty much over. We had them both for like 40 minutes, and that felt good. But after that, like, if he didn't go to like the NFC North, I would have been happy. I would prefer Texas because that's where he's from.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys play against Dallas, he's going to break out. Or have a breakout.
Yeah, we don't have Dallas on the schedule this year. So
okay, fine. Never mind. Well, next year because we play them. Or
anytime you can beat Dallas, it's a good day. I mean, I hate the Cowboys.
Yeah, Aaron Jones usually has a great breakout game against Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the playoffs. That's how we wanted it with Aaron Jones. No, I agree with that statement because like all the Giants fans were sad about Xavier McKinney, like not getting Reese Smith. Like all of them like were like, why couldn't we get him? Why didn't we get him? So I'm like, okay. And same with the Raiders with Josh Jacobs. Like that was another one.
Yeah.
I feel like Packers fans had a funeral when Aaron Jones went to the Vikings. Didn't Vikings head coach Bud Grant get in the Hall of Fame not too long ago?
A little while back, he's been in for 10, 15 years, maybe something like that. I don't remember, but of course we tragically lost Bud last year. The man lived a good life. He was 94 when he passed away. So it's, he was to Minnesota what Vince Lombardi and Curly Lambeau were to Green Bay, and what George Halas was to Chicago. He was that iconic face of the team that, and up to the time he died, he still had an office in the Vikings, in the Vikings offices there at 93, 94 years old. He'd still come into the office, once or twice a week. And just Kevin O'Connell said he always would make sure that he'd sit, at least once a week. Him and Bud would just go sit down and talk about stuff and things like that. So, I mean, he was, myself and a bunch of other people have made the thing, that Bud Grant needs a statue outside of US Bank Stadium. And, we keep pushing for that. Hopefully one day the Wolves will oblige and do that. So,
I mean, if Packers have one of Lambeau and Lombardi, everyone should have like their major person. Like Philadelphia has Rocky and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Packers have Lombardi and Lambeau and streets named after famous people like Mike McCarthy Way.
Yeah.
It's like better Vikings moment, the Minneapolis Miracle or the 38-3 comeback against the Colts.
It's got to be the Minneapolis Miracle. As you know, as great as that comeback against the Colts was, I mean, that was a kind of a nerve-wracking game. But with the Miracle, you know, the fact that it came against the New Orleans Saints made it a little bit sweeter. You know, not, you know, 2 minutes before the play happened, you know, you had Sean Payton back there mocking the Skol chant and doing all this other stuff. And Sean Payton is one of the most smug SOBs in this league. And there's nobody I like to cheer against more than Sean Payton.
Okay.
So, you know, that was especially sweet. And, you know, just that season alone, you know, when we had Case Keenum playing quarterback, that the guy, you know, was never supposed to play. He was supposed to be the backup to Sam Darnold, and Darnold got hurt right away at the beginning of the year. And then, you know, it was that was a fun year. Of course, you know, it ended like most Viking seasons do in utter heartbreak, but
right.
Now the Minneapolis Miracle, I can remember that game when the Saints went back ahead. I was just beside myself. You know, it's probably a good thing that they didn't have TikTok and stuff like that back then, where it would have gotten filmed and put on tape on the internet. But, you know, just that swing of emotions from, okay, we got this, to, you know, we blew it, and then turn around and, oh my God, we got, you know, one of the greatest plays in NFL history at the end of it. So it was.
Speaking of Xavier McKinney, I know you don't want to talk about it, but he did it against you guys.
Yeah, no, I know, and that was a throw that Sam Darnold shouldn't have thrown. And
no, I meant in the playoffs that ended your playoff career. Xavier McKinney in playoffs a couple years ago. I was at a bar watching that game.
Yeah, that one too. I mean, it wasn't so much McKinney; it was the fact that our defensive coordinator at the time, you know, insisted on playing what was basically a prevent defense all the time. And I mean, you know, that's the reason why the Giants spent big money to re-sign Mac Jones, was the 2 games they played against Minnesota, because he passed for like, you know, 600 to 700 yards or whatever it was in those 2 games. You know, it was the 2 greatest games of Daniel Jones's career, which got him a contract extension that they're now drastically regretting. But
yeah. Oh, okay. Because I was talking to other Giants fans, and they were like, "Why did we re-sign him?" That makes sense now.
Yeah, because we played him on Christmas Eve, and then we turned around and played him in the wild card game. We beat him on Christmas Eve, but then they turned around and beat us in the playoffs.
Barely. Yeah, barely.
Yeah, because and then there again, that, you know, you talked about why we got rid of Kirk Cousins a little bit a while ago. The end of that game was another prime example, is because, you know, instead of, you know, knowing full, because it was 4th down and 15 or whatever it was, you know, knowing full well that if you don't complete a pass down past the sticks and get a first down, the game is over.
Right.
Instead of throwing it into, you know, double coverage to try to get to Justin Jefferson to try to make a play, he checks it down to TJ Hawkinson 5 yards from the line of scrimmage with no chance of succeeding, and the game is over. You know, it's just that when in crunch time, when it came down to it,
yeah,
you know, too often Kirk he would fold. And
Justin said Xavier McKinney starts a new interception streak against the Bears. Yeah.
Hey, I hope you guys do. I mean, I guess I'm impartial between Green Bay and Chicago because I don't like either one of you guys.
Right. Yeah, but you want us to beat the Bears because you guys play them after us, I think. So
yeah, we get them the following week, but I mean, the 2 are mutually exclusive. But
right.
I mean, yeah, like I mentioned, my my mom is from Wisconsin, so half my family are Packers fans. So I suppose I kind of gotta. I just play the impartial observer whenever there's a game like that going. I know last week I was hoping you guys would have knocked Detroit off, but
it was so tough to watch that game.
Ugh. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I watched most of it, but
like I said, this was trade deadline week. So I have some players, Cam Akers, like you mentioned, Preston Smith to the Steelers. What was your first thought when you saw that trade happen?
I think was a good move. Preston Smith, he's more of a 3-4 guy. He doesn't really fit in with your current defensive scheme. He hasn't played like the Preston Smith of old. So I think he'll fit in over in Pittsburgh. And if he's still got anything left in the tank, I think he'll be able to show it here, especially when you got playing along guys like TJ Watt over there. Yeah. So
that's a good point, because he apparently said he requested a trade 2 weeks ago, and he actually said the exact same thing as you did, the 4-3 versus the 3-4.
Yeah,
which is interesting, because I wonder if we need to go back to a 3-4, because a lot of these players have never played in a 4-3 before this season. Kenny Clark was one of them. He's doing not that good now.
Yeah, I mean,
I wonder if it needs to be
we saw the same thing when Kevin O'Connell came in. He switched the team from a 4-3 to a 3-4, and we had, of course, Ed Donatel, the defensive coordinator the first year, who couldn't call a defense to save his life. Now, Brian Flores in his second year now, he's got the players rotated out, and he's got more of his guys that play the style of defense that he wants, and it's paying dividends now. But yeah, there is a definite transition, and some guys just aren't made for, like I talked about earlier with different players and quarterbacks and stuff. Scheme plays a lot on whether or not a guy's going to be successful or not.
It was time for Joe Barry to go. Ultimately,
I thought he could have stayed around for a little while longer, but
is that a Vikings fan saying that though, or just
yes, it is? But yeah,
exactly
the same reason why I want Eberflus to get a 10-year contract extension. In Chicago,
no. I wanted Joe Barry to go. No, Darius Smith to the Lions made his way around to the NFC North.
Yeah, doesn't really move the needle for me all that much. When he was here a couple of years ago, that the first half of the season he played great. Then the second half of the season, hardly knew he was on the field. He's kind of been that way the last few years. When he played for you guys, he would have streaks where he was, almost elite, and then he would have streaks where he disappeared. He's kind of done the same thing, in Cleveland now. So Detroit needed pass rush help after Aiden Hutchinson went down for the year. They don't have much else, but it doesn't do a whole lot for me as far as concern wise, I guess, with the rest of the NFC North anyway.
Oh no, I had the Bears one. Where did it go? They sent they traded. That's what they did.
They traded Khalil Herbert. Yeah,
that's who it was. I had it written down, but then I just apparently.
Yeah.
So were any of these trades like an NFC North was a surprise? Besides
the one that was the biggest surprise. I mean, Khalil Herbert for the Bears was kind of buried down the depth chart, so that doesn't really surprise me. They brought in Swift in the offseason.
Right.
The one that surprised me that was actually able to get done was the Vikings swinging a trade to get Cam Robinson out of Jacksonville after Christian Darrisaw went down for the season with an ACL. Okay. And then, Robinson came in last week, showed up, or got there on Wednesday, started the game on Sunday and played well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, being able to replace, arguably one of the top 2 or 3 left tackles in the league in Darrisaw with another guy that's solidly in the top 10, top 5, 6 even maybe. Mm-hmm. I give Kwesi Adolfo-Mensa all the credit in the world for being able to swing, and we got him for almost nothing.
That's crazy.
We traded a conditional 5th round pick that could go as high as a 4th depending on playing time. But the Jaguars picked up most of his salary for this year. And if he plays to the point where, we have to give up that 4th rounder, then he leaves at the end of the season, we'll probably get that back in a compensatory pick. So it's basically we got a free rental for the rest of the season with him. So.
That's amazing for you guys, though.
Yeah, the guys we got as backups are good to come in and spell them for a little while, or play a game here and there if you have to. But there isn't anybody that I felt comfortable, going through the rest of the last 10 games of the regular season and hopefully into the playoffs being your left tackle. So
yeah, I feel like another issue with the Jaguars this year is injuries. Like that whole team.
Well, yeah, and we talked about that a little bit ago. I said that I think there's 5, maybe 6 guys that aren't going to play on Sunday. Trevor Lawrence being one of them.
Right, and I think it's their right tackle or someone on their offensive line as well.
Yeah. Well, one of their tackles is down, and I forget who else it was. I looked at the injury report yesterday, but I didn't get a chance to today to see where everybody was at. But yeah, they're in a bit of a pickle as far as injuries go. Yeah,
Packers did some of them. I will say that. I will be a nice Packer fan and say that. That's all for trades. Oh no. Okay, I know the game is going on, so we're kind of going to wrap up in a little bit. Okay, so you have a podcast, so you can answer them about your podcast or whatever you want to do. How have you seen yourself grow in terms of the podcast over the past year? So from your podcast.
The biggest thing, I think it's just getting more comfortable behind the microphone, and when we first, we're into our 4th year doing this now.
Oh, okay.
When we first started, it was just kind of, I had done some podcasts before. I had some friends that were doing shows that kind of got me started on it. And then, I got the bug to want to do it, my own show. And then, so I brought in a buddy of mine as my co-host for our main show. And then I do a solo show on Monday nights as well.
Oh, but, okay.
Just being more comfortable talking and thinking on your feet as you're going along, being able to respond to comments.
Right.
We did a lot when we first started out. A lot of what we did was pre-recorded. So then, I was doing a lot of editing work, and so learning some of that stuff along too. But going into live shows, obviously you don't have to. There's nowhere near the editing that you have to worry about.
Right.
But,
I will. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I
was gonna say I will agree because we actually started out as pre-recorded too for about 6 episodes, I think, and then we did not edit any of them because we didn't feel the need to. We were just like pre-recording on StreamYard like we are now, but it's like we were going back and forth in between like a friendly conversation, and then it just grew. So I was like,
and that's kind of what what we ended up with ours too. When we started, we would do live shows for special occasions, and then we start getting the conversations going in the comments section. People come in, well, hey, what do you think about this? Or this happened and I'm pissed off about it and I want to vent a little bit about, so started getting that interaction, and, we've kind of morphed and evolved, and we like to think of ourselves as kind of like the guys sitting around the table at the bar, having a beer, talking football kind of stuff, we're Vikings Uncensored. So we'll tackle some of the more controversial stuff that's coming up, or if somebody wants to just, go into a rant about something because it's bugging them. We'll talk about it. We'll discuss it and that kind of stuff. And that's, as we've grown, it makes the podcast more fun, more interactive, and being able to, go back and forth with the commenters and the viewers and stuff. It's been really fun. And we're getting bigger, and we're, no signs of slowing down. So.
What is your favorite thing about podcasting, and has it changed when you first started? Like you just said, it kind of changed.
Kind of step on your touchdown there a little bit. But,
no, you're fine.
Yeah, no, I just like, doing what we're doing, sitting there talking football with like-minded fans. We've got the people that watch our show. We've got a lot of really smart people. We don't have a lot of the knee-jerk, fly off the handle, everything sucks, everything, or the soup, it's people kind of watch shows that fit their mindset, I think, as far as, how they think about things. And we try to be honest. We try to be straightforward. We're not going to sugarcoat stuff. If somebody plays like absolute garbage, we're going to call them out. If they play great, we're going to give them all the kudos in the world, and at the end of we try to be realistic, don't want to be overly homer, Vikings are going to go 17-0 and win every game by 40 points, kind of stuff like that. If we're up against somebody that we don't think that we stand a good chance of beating, we'll talk about it like that. Now, my co-host is a little bit more of the homeristic take than I'm a little bit more of a contrarian on some of this stuff, but that's just the biggest thing is being able to do that. And, like I said, talking with the viewers and having that conversation, it's just a lot of fun. And getting to talk football with people who love the team like you do and it's just a lot of fun.
Right. I will say I agree, because like when you said like you don't agree that your team will win, I said we wouldn't win against the Lions.
Yeah.
And I said the same thing about the Eagles, because Saquon Barkley has our number for some odd reason.
Yeah.
There's history between Packers and Saquon Barkley, and it's just.
Yeah. You got some of those, there are players that just, for some reason or another, when they play a certain team, they just go completely nuts, or they completely go off the rails and fall apart. It happens both ways, but.
I'm just testing out some stuff on StreamYard, apparently. So you said you heard of Tom Grassi. So if Tom Grassi watches this episode, what will your message be to him?
I love Tom's stuff. He's funny. And he's not afraid to poke fun at himself or his little skit things that I watch those all the time. And I get the biggest kick out of those, even, being a Packers fan, of course, they're biased to the other way, but Tom, I'm a big fan of Tom's. I love his stuff, and get a good laugh out of it whenever I watch it. So,
right. So you didn't meet him during 30 and 30 or anything?
No, I haven't had the opportunity to meet him yet. No.
Okay. So I will say this because my friend Justin, he's in chat tonight. Him and I met him at the Tampa event during 30 and 30. And it was so much fun. It was probably one of our best podcast moments. Well, the time we didn't even we had a podcast. We just weren't podcasting at that time. It was just a thoughtful day of like him coming down to support all 30 teams in the league. Yeah. And inviting fans to talk with him. And it was just one of our favorite moments. Yeah,
when the people do, the guys that have had success, in the social media realm or, podcasting, things like that. It's cool when you get, you meet a lot of these guys. They're legitimately good people. They're fun to, fun to talk to. You get some of them that start to think they're a little bit more important than they maybe are. But by and large, and I talk about this all the time with the Vikings family of content creators. It's a big family. You don't have to, think that somebody else needs to do poorly in order for you to do well. The way I look at it is when one of us does well, we all do well. Just because a lot of us, if we're not doing a show, we'll go in and watch a lot of the other shows, sit in the comments and, and interact back and forth with them. And, there's the whole podcasting thing. When you watch the media, the beat writers and stuff like that, they do the yeoman's work. They're on the boots on the ground, getting into some places where, obviously, us as just content creators can't get to. But, you start looking at the national media, if you're not the Dallas Cowboys or if you're not the Kansas City Chiefs, they're going to spend of their 1 hour pregame show, they spend 45 minutes on 2 or 3 teams and they'll just mention you in a little blurb.
Yeah.
With the content creators, you get that the more centric towards the things that you think are important, that for your team, whether it's the Vikings, whether it's the Packers, whether it's the Bears, whether it's whoever, because, those of us who do it, we have our sources we go to, especially Twitter X is a great source for that. You follow the beat writers and, able to keep up on, the guys that are at practice every day watching the team. You get that stuff, and then you can get on a show and just talk about, okay, so-and-so didn't practice today. What does that mean for the game on Sunday? Or, this guy's had a terrible couple of weeks. Why is he still playing when, shake things up? It gives the fans a voice to be able to, sing the praises, vent their frustrations, being able to, and pass on news that a lot of people, people may not, there's a lot of people who watch football that they don't have a Twitter account, so that they don't hear a lot of this stuff, so it's kind of cool to be part of that, I guess.
I like how you said that, because literally after the Monday after the Vikings game, one of our friends that was on our show earlier, Rob Sounds-Gouda, he actually came out. We actually spoke about the game and who did bad, who needs to do better. And I've been doing a player from each offensive, defense, and special teams of who needs to do better and who does a great job. And it's just we've told our audience hey, these people need to do better, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Because some of them don't know much about the NFL. Some of them live in different countries, like Canada, for instance. So we're teaching them NFL, and it's fun. And some of them watch college only, and I understand that. It's perfect. Yeah. But we help them understand the league, because college and Canadian are different. So we help them understand the league and American League. And it's so much fun.
And that's one thing we've noticed too, finding fans from around the world. I mean, we've had people from Australia in the chat, South America, a couple from Europe, Canada, the Philippines. I mean, that we've got people that watch over there on a regular basis.
That's so much fun, because you never know where you're reaching.
And it's always cool when you see a new name pop up in the chat that's not a regular, that watches on a regular basis, and then they'll come in, Skol from Argentina. We had one guy in there one day, and another guy, like I said, Australia, Europe.
That's so fun.
It all over the country, and we started this. We didn't know who, that we were going to have anybody watch. We were going to have two guys sitting here talking to the air, and that's why we pre-recorded a lot of stuff to begin with, because we didn't know.
Right.
And, and then as it built and you start getting, people that watch your show religiously it makes a guy feel good to know that you've got, a dozen people that are going to take 1 to 2 hours out of their week every week to come watch what you have to say and talk about football. I mean, that's what makes doing content creation, podcasting, stuff like that. That's what makes it worth it to me, is knowing that if somebody's out there that cares what you have to say and they want to talk to you about it.
Yeah, they will listen.
And that's where the live shows make it so much better, because you can have those discussions with people.
Right. And it's one thing that Tom does, and I don't know if you guys do this, he raids people. So he sends his audience, he's probably going to do it a little bit during the game. He will raid smaller channels. For instance, this one, he would send all his people to say hey, Tom Grossi rated, sending love. And his main goal is to and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. So he goes to people with 0 people watching, and it explodes. It's so much fun to see and be part of that. It's I thought about doing it from my podcast channel, because then it would get in their chat too. But I'm I don't want to necessarily, but it's I don't care.
Yeah. And I know I got some buddies who, one of the guys that actually helped me get into this, and, they've got a huge following on their podcast and on YouTube, but Vikings Report with Drew, Chad, and Chris. So, and then, Chris Gates, he's the writer for the Daily Norseman, been, a third-party Vikings site for years. And then Ted Glover used to write for the Norseman. He's kind of the host of the show. And then Drew Bunting's the the numbers guy and the comic relief and everything else. And they're all great people. And, and I wouldn't be doing this today if it wasn't for those guys. So I got to always give those guys all the credit in the world too. And
I love how you said that, because like, honestly, I wouldn't be here today without Tom Grossi.
Yeah.
He's the one that started this whole thing. And I love, and like, this is the month of Thanksgiving. So as a podcast, I think we're going to write like a thank you letter to Tom. So he appreciates it, because honestly, he doesn't think a lot of his fans knows that he actually appreciates them. So that's why we're kind of asking those questions. Like, if Tom Grossi hears this, what would it be? And I'm going to put those all together kind of and make him listen to all these comments that his fans actually appreciate him. Yeah. Because he thinks his fans do not appreciate him. And that's why I'm like trying to change his opinion.
Yeah. I get that feeling, like I was talking about earlier, just knowing that, people, like I said, people come watch you every week. It's, I don't care if it's 5 people or if it's 150 people, you've got people that are coming to listen to what you have to say. And, at least, respect what the work that you're doing and, want to come listen to what you have to say. And I mean, we tell our viewers this all the time too, we wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for them. And, just, we appreciate everything that they do more than they'll ever know.
Right.
Just for showing up every week,
Right. We don't expect our viewers to show up. They just do it because they know that we'll be here.
Right. I mean, it's we've got a viewer, and he's one of the OGs. He's been watching since we started. He lives out in California. I mean, in the summertime, he goes camping every weekend. One Friday, he was literally left his campground, went up onto the top of a mountain so he could get cell service so he could watch our show.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. I just see 3 people watching it. I'm like, is it Tom? Because one thing that Tom's known to do, if there's like only like a little people in there, he would be watching to make sure that there's people here or something. So that's why I'm like watching the numbers very, very closely. Because I haven't experienced Tom Grossi raid myself. I've been a part of them with his crew. So I know like the numbers and stuff, what to look for that kind of stuff. So as we're wrapping up, final thoughts.
I just want to thank you for having me on tonight. I mean, a lot of fun, talking not just Packers, Vikings stuff, talking around the league stuff. And, it's talking football. And it's one of my favorite things to do. And, I love talking, like I said, with answering questions with the fans and talking back and forth.
Yeah.
And just being able to have these conversations. I mean, it's
so much fun.
The world we live in now is a wonderful place where you can sit in front of your computer and, do this, talk to people, halfway across the country, halfway around the world, things like that. Just because you've got a lot of people that just want to talk about football with your favorite team. And it's a ton of fun, and, this cross promoting and stuff with other teams and other shows and stuff like that. It only makes us all better. Like I said before, when one of us succeeds, we all succeed. And, I really appreciate you having me on. I had a great time tonight.
I'm literally telling my fans to subscribe to you right now.
I appreciate that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Vikings Uncensored on YouTube and Facebook, at Vikes Uncensored on Twitter. X is my handle there too.
So. If you can send me the Facebook, because I can put it in the description so they can.
Yeah, it would just be Facebook at Vikings Uncensored.
If you have a link, that would be good.
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you so much for coming on. We would love to have you back on, like in the office.
Yeah, anytime. Just if I can make it work, I always, so I have a hard time saying no all the time. So usually, unless I can't do it for whatever reason, I'd be more than happy to come back anytime.
I mean, I'm in Florida and we're still in hurricane season, so
we're waiting for the cold to start up here. We haven't had any snow yet, but it's getting close.
Yeah, like we've been through. Milton was our recent hurricane here, and I'm like, oh dear Lord, not another one, please. No, not another for me. It's been tough because I survived Ian. Ian is where my local. So if you heard of Hurricane Ian, and I'm sure you have, that's where my local beach, like literally 30 minutes away from me, and it's like Milton hit there too recently. So I'm like, oh no, it's been tough.
Yeah.
Where can people find you? Oh, you kind of already said it.
Yeah. Again, Vikings Uncensored on YouTube and Facebook, at Vikes Uncensored on Twitter X. That's our three biggest sites that we push.
Okay.
I'm on Twitter a lot during the day. I have it up on my computer at work, so I'm going through that while I'm working and interacting with people and everything there. So yeah, you see me on there, hit me up, say hi, whatever, anything like that.
Perfect. It's actually kind of funny because one of my friends is like, she took over my Twitter DMs right away for me, kind of, for right now on the podcast side of it. And she was like, "You're talking to a Vikings fan, ew." And I'm like, "Stop." She's actually in a different country, so I can say this. She's in Sweden right now. So I'm like, okay, have fun. And I know she's going to hear this eventually. So I'm like, "Hi, Cassie." She's from Milwaukee. So she's Milwaukee Bucks, Packers, Brewers. Wisconsin sports is her thing. So oh no, you can find me on a podcast, obviously. And so I'm supposed to say this, but we have a Midwestern podcast tomorrow. It's Bears and Packers. And we're talking about other trades. So we're going to do the Devontae Adams trade finally from the Jets or Raiders to the Jets. And we're going to do the Bills and every other things. And I'm actually paying off a bet right now, or I will be tomorrow. Because like I told you, Ryno, my friend's a Bears fan. So he's making me wear blue tomorrow. He usually doesn't let me wear green on the podcast. So this is rare for me. And I have to wear bear earrings. So that's what I have to do tomorrow. Am I excited for it? No.
Well, if he's not specifying, just get some teddy bear ones or something like that instead of.
Oh, he's a bear earrings, like because
like the actual logo. Yeah.
Yeah. No, like the animal. Nope. Because I don't have the actual logo. Is the thing. He knows the earrings I have.
It can just because you're wearing a bear earring doesn't mean you're cheering for the Bears. So.
Good point. What do you have coming up? We have a show tomorrow.
As far as our shows go, Friday night we got a late night show going this week, 10:30 Central Time. We'll do our Fridays. We usually do the preview show for the upcoming game, so we'll be previewing the Jacksonville game. All the latest. We'll see if Trevor Lawrence makes a miraculous comeback or if he's going to be out. A couple of injury fronts that we got to deal with the Viking side of things too that we're watching. And then Monday nights at 7 p.m. I do my solo show, which is we use it as a recap of the game, kind of the post wrap. Call it Ryno's Rants. We call that one, and we just get out there. If it's a great game, we celebrate. If they played like crap and lost, we drown our sorrows and rant like crazy about it. So
I love that.
Yeah, so everybody come check it out. We welcome all, whether they're Packers fans, Vikings fans, Bears fans, Lions fans, fans of, whatever team.
That's phenomenal.
If you want to talk football, come on and check us out.
Yes, please. I know you just got one subscriber from a Mac and Cheese follower.
Perfect. Thank you.
So yeah, you guys will, I'm sure, all subscribe to on all three of my channels when I get done off this, because I have like multiple accounts that a lot of people know about, but I'll subscribe to all of them on yours. Because we love supporting other people here. We love supporting everyone that's been on our show. So we ask everyone to.
Yeah, we do this. We do the same thing too. So it's, again, it's so much fun. We help make everybody succeed when you start cross promoting. So,
so you can find. Oh no, I have a little bit to promote. So my friend Cassie and I do Midnight Disney, where we talk about Disney movies, kind of, and we're kind of doing the trilogy of The Wizard of Oz, Wicked, Wiz, and everything. Okay. So we're kind of finishing it up with Wicked soon.
I haven't seen that yet. So
it's in theaters. It's in movies right now, or it's about to be in movies. So her and I both got tickets for the movie Wicked, and we're seeing it on opening weekend.
Nice.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about Wicked, and then we're going to do Mufasa. So we pretty much talk about every single Disney movie, break down it. So we're kind of doing like the Frank Baum movies. So like we did Wizard of Oz when the Wizard of Oz anniversary was. And then we did the same thing for The Wiz. And then we break it down from like start of the movie, middle, end. And we kind of do fun facts with it. So it's kind of fun. for us
cool.
because we get to learn about our favorite movies while we're also talking about them. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
I'm hopping on Draft Utopia tomorrow. That's a Patriots fan show. They asked me as a Packers fan.
Hey.
We're breaking down the rest of the Packers schedule. It's going to be fun. I think he said Saturday morning, 11 Eastern. So that should be fun.
Yeah.
And I might have us win against the Vikings. I haven't figured it out yet. So my friend Nick, Peter, and I, the Bears fan, you guys know him. We're going to be doing a Midwestern episode. Like I said, Viking or Jets, Packers, Bears, Bills, everyone's. We also predict games on that show, so it's kind of fun. That's, I think, 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central on YouTube as well. And is there anything else that you want to say?
No, I mean, I think we've covered the gamut pretty well here tonight, I think. So time to
I just have one really quick shout out and then
yep.
The intro. So my friend Brittany actually has a book, so I told her I would promote it for her. And I can send it to you too if you want to spread it out to your followers. I don't care.
Sure.
She just wants it to promote it everywhere. She's a newer author and she wants it to get everywhere that she can. She just asks that people read it and like support her writing and stuff. She's brand new to it.
By all means, support people's dreams. Support, the trying to push stuff out. Whether it's podcasting, whether it's writing, whether it's making music, whether it's doing whatever. It's it's we all do this kind of stuff because we enjoy it. So it's good to get see that other people enjoy what you do as well. So
right. So I will definitely send you that afterward. Do you have anything else to say, like your skull chant? I should not have said that. Gross.
I'll spare you the skull chant, but all I said just thanks again for having me on. Appreciate it. Thanks for everybody that joined in, brought the questions and comments and stuff, and Skol Vikings.
Oh, okay. See, I
didn't do the chant. I just did the.
Okay. I'm not going to do that "Go Pack Go" chant this time because the Packers are on the bye. So
fair enough.